Hey guys, very special episode. It's very exciting to have crossed over to the 2-year mark. So this episode is all around celebrating our 2-year birthday, but make sure you stay tuned because we do have a special announcement at the end of the episode. So stick around to hear what that is. What's been your one key memory from over the last 2 years?
Sleeping early on a Friday night, waking up early in the morning to spend time with my good mates and doing things that I enjoy and love with the people I love.
It was like our own passion project, our own baby, and we had our full creative control. And yeah, I think I'm really proud of this as something that we all kind of built together. I haven't kind of felt that drive creatively in a while, and I think this has been a really good outlet for that.
I didn't think that this was going to be as big as it was going to be. You don't realize how much of a seed you've planted or an impact you've planted by storytelling and what ripple on effect that actually has. For the last 2 years, I think what we've been able to do is help people come to realizations, or maybe people further down the journey to be able to then do what they need to do to be better and have a better life.
What else is very, very special is how our team has been able to be so close together. A lot of the times we share a lot of the end product, but what goes on behind the scenes, the sweat, the hardships, the sacrifices, the highs and the lows, it's something that we can't also share. Like, it's a lived experience, and that's a pocket of the 2 years that is something so very special.
Wow, can we reshoot mine?
Before we get started on today's episode, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which this podcast is recorded, the land of the Darug people. We would like to acknowledge and pay respects to our elders past and present and the next generation coming through. Now, onto today's episode. Welcome to the Level Asian podcast. Today is a bit of a special episode because we're actually recording this a little bit earlier. It's our second birthday, which is crazy because... which is crazy to think that 2 years has passed with Level Asian. We wanted to take the time in this episode to reflect on a lot of the memories that we've made and just celebrate our wins a little bit because we don't tend to do that.
We're pretty bad.
We're Asian.
I'm going to put it to Davie.
Huh?
What has the last 2 years of Level Asian meant to you?
Oosh.
Okay.
Okay.
Oosh.
Yeah.
Oosh. Let's oosh.
Oosh, bro. You can't ask me these questions. I guess when I first started talking about this podcast, one of the words that came to mind and we discussed, and it's like we wanted to build a podcast that we wish we had when we were younger. And I felt like, yeah, we've done that. I would love to have listened to this podcast when I was younger. And so I actually listen to this podcast quite often.
To make up for lost time.
We were driving to work all the time with Shirley. And it's one of those, I have some podcasts I listen to, and one of the top 3 podcasts I actually listen to. And it does sound a bit strange for a person to listen to their own voice, but I actually really enjoy the conversations we have. And I also enjoy hearing about your stories and learning from one another. So one thing I also really enjoy is, I didn't do it today, but sleeping early on a Friday night, waking up early in the morning on a Saturday to spend time with my good mates and doing things that I enjoy and love with the people I love. So that's one of the biggest joys that I found in this, the last 2 years. Yeah, we could try to take over the world, get as much listeners and get shitloads of followers or make an impact in the world. But the biggest thing I really enjoy about this, the last 2 years of Level Asian is just getting to spend time with you guys and also finding a passion and doing a lot more of it. But when do you ever get to speak to people and then have so many people also relate to you and listen to you as well and just have fun while doing it? You don't ever get that.
100%.
Yeah, so that's, I guess, the last 2 years, what it means to me. Yeah, so those are the things I'm grateful for.
What's been your one key memory that you want to share from over the last 2 years?
One key memory?
Either your favorite, your most exciting moment within Level Asian, a sad moment, whatever it might be. Just a memory that stood out for you.
So I know what that moment is, and it's definitely being on stage on one of our first events that we organised, which is when Vinh came to Sydney. And we saw so many people out there, obviously most likely coming for Vinh, but us being there on stage watching, supposedly our followers. Maybe they weren't our followers, they were Vinh's followers. But yeah, seeing something get created, and then it's like, whoa, crap, we brought the whole community together. And then I talked to a lot of like clients that kind of run similar businesses or on social media, and they said, well, Davie, just so you know, just because you have 1 million followers or massive following and people watch your videos, it's very hard to bring people out of their own comfort or their home to come to like a event and see you for like a whole night. And we did that on the first day night with how many people? 300 people?
Yeah, 300 plus.
Yeah, so when my mate told me that, or my client, as well as being there on stage and seeing that was just, crazy. And I guess that lit the fire for us because we finally realized, holy shit, this is working. And so we did this for the next 2 more years, year and a half.
I'm going to ask Noel first and then I'll ask Ken. What has the last 2 years meant for you?
I think the last few years, for me with Level Asian, allowed me to create something that was fun and didn't have the pressure of, having client work. It was like our own passion project, our own baby, and we had our full creative control about who we brought on, who we wanted to talk with, what topics we wanted to talk about. And I think I'm really proud of this as something that we all kind of built together and have a little bit of each of us and our personalities and our influence in it. Not just the 4 of us, but also, everyone behind the scenes, Kels, Edwin, Mish, like the rest of the team as well.
That guy.
Senthan, the late cover. And Kathy. And our whole team there. So I think it's been really cool to just work on something that we're all super passionate about and really care a lot about as well. I haven't kind of felt that drive creatively in a while, and I think this has been a really good outlet for that. And of course expanding our network as well, like meeting our heroes, essentially having a reason to, and a platform that allows us to rub shoulders with people we've kind of seen at a distance or admired through our phones, but are able to connect with in real life.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't think you thought I was your hero. But
And sometimes your heroes can also be disappointing.
What would you talk about?
Oh God.
And also that just this past week, like really just working on the stage event in Sydney with Vinh, like that's been a huge opportunity for us, and I've been learning a lot working with Craig and the team. And these are things that I didn't anticipate 2 years ago, and now we're here and we're doing really awesome, fun things to do.
It's kind of full circle, hey? Like a lot of our memories have been associated with that one event where everything kind of came to life with Vinh. It's kind of coming to
after 2 years, right? Yeah.
And your key memory?
It's hard because it's always that, it comes back down to that Carter event, like the very first one we did, and I don't think anything's gonna kind of top that first feeling of like euphoria of like having slogged away weeks of planning until we got there, and just making it all feel worth it the moment the whole room filled up. But other great moments like Melbourne, I think we got to spend a lot of time with each other as well as our friends over in Melbourne. So I think we've definitely made some really great connections and great friends as well that I'm really grateful for right now.
Wholesome. Ken?
I had thought about this actually last night, and one of the things that stuck out for myself is we had really like simple goals in terms of what this was to be, and it was really just like almost like a little bit selfish for us, just like self-therapy. But with the popularity of the podcast and how fast it grew, one of the realizations I had last night was on a maybe individual personal level, it made me realize that someone like us, where we really didn't come from anything, like we're all just from, we had just a podcast episode about us being migrants, no silver spoons, we didn't have any kind of advantage, but we were able to create a platform and an opportunity for not only ourselves but everyone in the community to be able to be inspired and also have permission to like achieve the things we wanted to. So there was something that clicked, and I don't know when it was, but to think about, hey, like you can actually make a huge impact on a lot of people's lives with very little. And I think as someone who probably, maybe just like being, again, like a migrant and probably just trying to figure things out in life, I didn't think that this was going to be as big as it was going to be. And I remember actually the 3 of us were crossing the street, and we're in the CBD, we were at a client shoot or something like that. And the first lot of reels went out, and this was Phil, first episode. And we looked at it and I was like, holy shit. It was like, I think like 15, 20,000 views like with the first one, and I was like, okay, this is real, like this is something that definitely resonates with people, otherwise it wouldn't do as well as it did. And I think the key learning that I've got out of all of this is that if you really want to do something and you apply yourself to do it, it's like Vinh says, like your reality is negotiable. So that definitely for me is like a reflection on the last 2 years, that you can just make things happen if you really love what you do. Like we don't do this for the money, although we would like to make this more financially sustainable, but we do it because, to your point, being able to rock up, you know, we take our half-hour weekend, we come on a Saturday or after hours, we spend like our time trying to do something that we believe not only benefits us, but also benefits the people around. And I had this, like, a lot of people said this to me, but I don't think it's sunk in. They're like, you don't realize how much of a seed you've planted or an impact you've planted by storytelling, people who can relate to these stories, and what ripple on effect that actually has. So regardless of, you know, whatever happens, for the last 2 years, I think what we've been able to do is help people come to realizations, and maybe actually the first few steps, or maybe people further down the journey, to be able to then, you know, do what they need to do to be better and, you know, have a better life and things like that. Because we have a very unique experience being, you know, third culture kids and people who are sort of like stuck in between, trying to like navigate, you know, basically life.
Yeah, it's just like allowing people to feel heard or resonate with our stories as well. Because some people, like, well, back then when I was growing up, I just felt like I was very different. And being Asian immigrant family, we weren't allowed to really talk about our issues and feel the feeling that we felt. We felt like we shouldn't be talking about it all because of what our Asian parents told us. So to be able to talk about it and resonate with people, I think it changes a lot of people's lives. At least gives them the first step that it's okay to talk about. Yeah.
And then your key memory?
Key memory...
It's been with me.
I'm being disappointed.
And crying on a live podcast.
Key memory is probably actually the same as Davie. I think the reality of seeing the Carter event come together with Vinh, and for a couple of reasons. Number one is I couldn't believe that Vinh would say yes. Like, he was willing to fly over all the way from Adelaide. So someone like him, given how in demand he was, I was like, wow, I can't believe someone of that level of caliber was willing to devote his time for a cause. And I remember also, because he said prior to that, he's like, I don't do any keynotes anymore, but I'm willing to do it for you guys. And I think that made me realize how special it was in terms of what we were doing. And then number two, obviously seeing everyone come together and how excited everyone was at the event, and for the reasons that we really wanted, which was there was such a eclectic room in the sense that you had business owners, you had people in corporate, you had people doing creative stuff, but there was no status. Everyone was even. And so it didn't matter who you were. And the only commonality was that you were basically either supporting Asian Australians or you were Asian Australians, and just being together in a room to have good vibes and learn off each other and connect with each other was really special. And then the feedback, getting it afterwards about, hey, like, you know, we want more of this. Like, this is something that we really, really wanted. Yeah, that was like, to your point, like bringing actually people physically off their screens in person was really nice.
Viv?
For me, aside from all of the really cool things that we've done, like the events, the people we've met, the conversations we've had, I think the last 2 years has meant to me, one, our audience and like how much gratitude we have for them, and the support that they've given consistently, the growth, people speaking to us about feeling heard and seen and thanking us for having these conversations, but also encouraging a lot of other people to have more conversations. I think there's something so special about having a community like this. You grow up in a space in Australia where like you might not really feel like you belong or have a home here. But being able to have conversations like this and bring a community together where everything feels on the same page and so relatable is something that is not, it's hard to explain for those who might not understand. But then I also think that what else is very, very special is how our team has been able to be so close together for it, and being able to share memories like this. Like, a lot of the times we share a lot of the end product, but what goes on behind the scenes, you know, the sweat, the hardships, the sacrifices, the highs and the lows, it's something that we can't also share. Like, it's a lived experience, and that's a pocket of the 2 years that is something so very special.
Favorite memory?
The only reason why I would say it is the Carter event, aside from everything else that was said, is like, I think that was the first moment where things became tangible for us. Like everything was so online, and like we could see the numbers, we could see the growth, we could hear the stories and the DMs and everything. But being in that room and standing on that stage and seeing a sea of people of all these different backgrounds and actually seeing it come to life was, again, something so special and something so
Surreal.
Yeah. Senthan?
Yeah, I guess I have a very different experience because I came from being part of your audience to then working behind the scenes. I wish I had the opportunity to come sooner, but it's just like really cool to be welcomed into the family with open arms. And I guess with like previous roles that I've had, it didn't feel like you were working with family, whereas with our team, it feels that way very much. And with family, you're going to have disagreements. You're going to have, you're going to look at things differently. You're going to have different perspectives. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of love that everyone shares, not just with the 5 of us, but with the broader team as well. To be able to live that day to day has been really special. The more altruistic side of it is creating a space where people feel seen and heard. I think is the thing that we should be most proud of, but also be proud of our community for fostering that space beyond just a podcast, to have those conversations and network with the people that we have. So I think it's more the human element of it that I hold close to my heart, being a part of Revelation.
And your favorite memory?
My favorite memory is the first podcast that I produced end to end, because I think that was the moment where I was like, oh, like this could, like I could make a livelihood of this, right? Like I've learned so much. These guys trust me to do these things, and we could kind of take this to another level with me being on board and playing that role as well. So for me, it was that moment where I felt like I belonged.
Nice.
Wow, that's sweet.
Very wholesome. Yeah. Very wholesome.
Wow, can we reshoot mine?
Thanks for tuning in, guys. I know this is a little bit different and it's a bit abrupt, but like we said at the start of the episode, this is a 2-year celebration for us to reflect, but also a special announcement to share with you. So over the last 2 years, it's been a really enjoyable ride with Level Asian, and a lot's changed since we started, right? From an empty warehouse right through to now our brand new, well, relatively brand new studio. We're still, still moving into the seats and finding our spots. But fundamentally, because a lot's changed, I've had a child, everyone's sort of upgraded and everyone's got a lot going on in their lives. We initially actually wanted to announce that it was going to be a hiatus, and actually an indefinite hiatus for Level Asian. And this was filmed, a couple of months ago. Mm-hmm. So a lot of things do change even in a couple of months. And whilst we initially intended to have this as a indefinite hiatus while we figure things out, we have since spoken as a team that rather than something indefinite, we're going to actually go on a season break, which means that we get to focus on better quality content, more focused content, and content of more of what you guys want.
While we are on a break, we do want to take this opportunity to say thank you for supporting us. We have had so many things that have happened over the last 2 years and more, and we just want to take some time to also reflect on that and give you guys better content, better quality things, and involve you within the whole process too. So don't unfollow us, please.
Please.
But do DM us at Level Asian Pod, Instagram, TikTok, or email us at contact@levelasianpodcast.com with any content suggestions. We are so grateful for everything that you have done to support us, whether it's through our events, through following us, liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, everything under the sun. And without you guys, Level Asian seriously would not exist. So truly, from the bottom of our hearts and the bottom of our fruit bowls, we love you. Thank you.
Should we do a group hug?
Yeah.
Yeah, get on Phil.
Yeah.
Dave's one, and then we can add it in. Ass is ready. All right, well done, guys.
No.
Level Asian on 3. 1, 2, 3,
Level Asian!
Thanks so much for tuning in. A lot of work and effort goes into Level Asian with a whole team behind the scenes. While we aren't looking for anyone to pay for this content, what helps the podcast grow, reach more people, and benefit more Asians around the world is if you could leave a 5-star review if you're on Spotify, Apple, Google, or any other audio platforms. And leave us a like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Catch you on the next episode.